Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Triss and this is Comfy Cozy Crochet with Triss. Today I wanted to do something just a little bit different. Not different from what everybody else is putting out there, but different from my normal schedule. I just wanted to put out my 2021 Crafty goals. This is mostly going to pertain to crochet, but there might be a little bit of things here and there that are going to cross the divide into other crafts, I guess you could say. So if you're interested in what's coming up ahead for 2021, please just keep watching, grab a snack, grab a drink. Let's just hang out tonight, okay? So as I'm filming this, it's just a few days into the new year, and I thought that I would set some new goals for myself. I do have some notes here, so if you'll excuse me, I am going to take a look at them every now and again, and I'm also going to share my Make 9 with you. So if you haven't heard of a Make 9 before, it's basically a vision board, a visual goals board, if you will, and it's just a grid with 9 pictures, and it is basically a goal that you're setting for yourself, that you're going to get these 9 makes finished by the end of the year or in the next 6 months or whenever you make the board. For me, it's going to pertain to the entire year. There are several makes on this board that I have been dying to create for. Several of them have been on my Pinterest boards for years, quite frankly, and I've just never gotten around to it. You know, somebody requests something else, or I get distracted into something else, and I just never have ended up making these for whatever reason. And so I am putting them on this board. I'm trying to make a concrete list of things that I want to get done this year. And you know, not a whole lot of pressure if I don't get them done by the end of the year, but I've made a lot of other great things. That's okay. But it's important to me that I try to at least set a few of these goals, because some of them are patterns that I've purchased and I've never even tried to make. Some of them are just things that have been clogging up my Pinterest board for forever and a day that I know I really want to make. And some are new drool-worthy things. So I'm going to do a few of the other goals, crochet and crafty goals first, and then I'll do my Make 9 in just a little bit. So my first, let's see. All right, so my first goal this year is going to be just to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. I started crocheting, and the first couple of things that I made were huge Afghans, and I mean huge, big throw/Afghans, enough for a couple of people to snuggle up in, and plenty of room. And after that, I just made another blanket and another throw and another blanket and another throw. And then pretty soon it was a whole bunch of baby blankets for friends of mine and family members, for my own kiddo. And I was just the blanket queen. And I finally started making a shawl, not a shawl. And so then I finally started making scarves here and there. And I really liked that, but it took me a long time to even venture into, from a regular, more conventional scarf like you'd see that's just completely 2D to, hey, let's sew it together and make it an infinity scarf and a little bit more dynamic. So my big thing is I just want to push myself to make new things this year, whether it be a new stitch, a new technique, some 3D objects, you know, a few more hats, a few more dynamic things, like maybe fingerless mitts I'd like to try, or a new stitch like the dragon scale stitch, or I've heard somebody call it like the crocodile stitch too before, but I hate crocodiles, so little known fact. Anyway, I'd really like to try mosaic crochet. I would like to try another Grafgan, which I went ahead and finally pushed myself at the end of last year to make my first Grafgan. But things like that, I really have for ages and ages wanted to make a cocoon or a sweater for myself, even just a cardigan. And I'm just been too afraid. And this year I'm saying no, putting my foot down. I'm gonna make some more dynamic things this year. It's not just going to be blankets and scarves. We're going to do some new things. We're going to push ourselves a little bit. I I'd also like to make a few more shawls. I've only made 2 ever. One was a virus shawl for my gram and one was the river shawl for my mom, and both turned out beautifully. Great patterns by Fiber Spider and Rich Textures Crochet. It's so hard for me to say. Rich Textures Crochet, respectively. I will link them down below for you. I'd love to make another river shawl for me. I'd love to try out some other ones that I've seen. I've got some beautiful ones on my Pinterest board, so maybe I'll try some of those out. My next goal is probably my most important goal, and that is to get my yarn organized. Right now, it is just a disaster. I have a loft upstairs that is just filled with shopping bags and a hope chest that's filled to brim, and totes full of yarn. There's a couple of boxes stashed away in a closet, and then quite frankly, we have 2 sofas up there, and they're completely filled with shopping bags full of yarn. It's not okay. And I do have a couple of shelves up there, but they're rickety, they're falling apart. They've, you know, been purchased cheaply, and they've gone through about 5 moves. They're old and they did not hold up well. So I need to get a few more shelves, and I need to get them all up there and just reorganize it to where I can see what I'm doing. Right now I've got yarn stashed in there and it's not super efficient, and I can't see what I've got, so I've repurchased things before that I already had, because quite frankly I just couldn't see what I had. Not acceptable. So I want to tamp down on some of my buying for next year. I'm not going to put myself on a yarn buying ban or anything. For the most of this year I was on a yarn, for most of 2020 I was on a yarn buying ban, and then I went hog wild a little bit too. But what I do need to do is stop purchasing yarn I don't need. Oh, I don't have a blue. I'm sure I have a blue, you know, but I need to go and be able to see what I've got, right? So for Christmas, my main Christmas present for my husband, Sean, was to completely revamp the loft upstairs. Take down the shelves I already have, put a whole wall of shelves up, take the sofas down, put a computer up there, just kind of make that into a little space for crochet and for working on YouTube and things like that. So really excited for that, and hopefully that'll help me get much more organized to where I can work a little bit more efficiently and just really use what I've got. And that leads me a little bit into, I'd really like to work through some of my stash this year. Not saying I'm not going to buy any new yarn. I know there's going to be sales that are going to tempt me. I know there are going to be, you know, new yarns that are going to pop up or new colors that pop up that I just cannot resist. I'm okay with that completely, but I would like to work with what I've got too. I've got some amazing yarns that I wanted so badly that I just haven't touched for one reason or another. Some of that's time, and this has been a heck of a year, but some of it is also just that, you know what, I need to be able to see it, I need to work through it. Let's get through some of this because I'm excited to work with these yarns. So I want to work through my stash a little bit. Another thing I want to try is I want to try cabling, whether that be in a throw or a hat or a scarf. I think crochet cables are so beautiful, and there are so many patterns out there. Debbie from the Canadian Crocheter was just actually posted a video not too long ago, and it was all about all these different cable hat patterns that she was trying out, and her journey with that, and it was so much fun to watch, and it was so interesting because I had just been Googling and searching on Pinterest cable crochet patterns, and I was saving a bunch of them, and all of a sudden she came out with like 3 or 4 more that hadn't even been on my radar that I had to save too. So I will link that video and her down below. She's amazing. Hi Debbie, if you're watching this. Probably not, but she's a super sweet lady, and everybody go check her out if you happen to have found me and not her. In what world? Anyway, so cabling, I would really like to work on some cabling this year and learn a few more stitches. I would also like to keep up with my crochet project journal as well. Last year, pretty late last year, I started a crochet journal, and it was for each project that I was making, and it was what the pattern was, what yarn I was using, possibly how much, although I did not keep track very well, what colors, what hook, brand, and size I was using, and then any notes that I had, right? Oh, you know, I decided to tweak this pattern just a slight bit, or held two yarns together double or whatever little note that I would have that I wanted to remember for next time, or for when I picked a project back up, if I happen to set it aside for a little bit. All of those things I wanted to be able to remember. So I started the project journal, and I was really good for a few months, and then I kind of slacked off there at the end. And I spent some time today actually going back through and penciling in a few more items that I had either already made and gifted for Christmas and things like that, or things that I'm still working on that just never made it into the journal. So I'd like to keep up with that a little bit better, because I've found that I remember older projects that I've made and I go, what color was that I made for so-and-so's blanket? That, you know, stripe of vivid peach, you know, what exact color and yarn was that? I don't know. It might have been this one or it might have been that one. I want to use it again. I don't know. So I want to be able to go back into my journal and just look that up and go, that's the one I want, that's the one I want to buy, that's the one I want to use for this new one. Sorry, I have an itchy shoulder today for some reason. All right. My next goal is that I really want to learn to knit. Those of you who have seen my Christmas and birthday haul, you'll know that I got a beautiful set of Knitter's Pride Zing interchangeable knitting needles for my birthday from my husband. He spoiled me this year, and I just cannot wait to dig into that. If you have any great beginner knitting tutorials, please link them down below. I would love to see them. If you have them on your channel, or if you know anybody who has them, please do link them down below. I also got a Crafty membership this year, so I'm looking at going on there and learning through some of their tutorials as well. Hopefully I can do this by myself. Hopefully this is not something that I have to wait for after the pandemic to get hands-on with someone knitting, like at Joann's or something. That's what I did to start with crochet. I went to a Joann's, little fun fact, went to a Joann's class for a couple of hours, and then after that it was all YouTube downhill from there, with the exception of my friend Jessie, who helped me out with a few things as well. She's amazing. She pretty much taught herself through YouTube as well. So I'd like to learn to knit this year. I'm very intimidated, but so many people have these gorgeous knit patterns, and it seems like they can do so much more just by learning a second craft. It's like things that are unattainable through crochet you can do through knit, and I really like to do that. I've seen even people like Gary from Urban Yarn, who's just an artist. He's just incredibly talented. And he considers himself a beginner knitter, beginning knitter, you know what I mean? He's a beginner where knitting is concerned. And he's made 2 beautiful sweaters, one for himself that I've seen him do, and one for his husband Chad that he just did. And they're impeccable. I mean, they're exquisite. They look store-bought in the best way. You know, they look just perfect. So anyway, I'm really excited to be able to learn a new craft and have another little outlet for different things that I can make. So many patterns that I go, oh, I want to make that. Is it crochet? No, it's knit. I just don't want that to be outside my realm of capabilities anymore. So I want to learn to knit this year. And let's see. I think my last goal, which I have, let's see, I made 8 here. Oh, it's not quite my last goal. If I would have gone in order, I'd know what dang number I'm on, huh? So my next goal is that I would really like to make a sweater this year. There's several crochet cardigans and just regular sweaters that I would really love to make. So, and I've just been so intimidated to try to make a sleeve or try to make a collar. And it's just crazy. You know, I need to just get out of, oh, it might be hard and I might get confused. I need to just try. So I'm trying to push through that. I'm such a perfectionist that I'm like, oh, if I try that and it's hard and I fail, that would be the end of the world. It's not. It's not the end of the world to fail. So, or to have to work a little harder or frog it and go back. You know, I need to be better about taking some risks as far as crochet goes. It's just yarn. Anyway, and my last goal is to finish my Make 9 board. So now we're there, and I will show you my Make 9. I'm going to scoot over just a little bit so you can see. I'm going to post the picture of my Make 9 board right over here. So I'm going to scoot over just a bit. And while you can see it on your screen, I cannot. So I am going to go ahead and just look at my phone here where I have saved it. Okay, so the first item on my Make 9 board right here is the Caribbean Queen hooded cardigan by Annoo Crochet. If you have not seen her channel, it will be linked down below. She is a wonderful, just awesome lady here on YouTube. She does tons of tutorials and reviews and such. She's from Belgium. She has this beautiful accent and she's so much fun. So anyway, she has this beautiful hooded cardigan that I really want to make. It's using the granny stitch, so I feel like maybe it's beginner friendly enough. She says that it's easy. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that a visual tutorial will help me to make my first couple of cardigans and sweaters, and once I'm through there, maybe I'll feel more comfortable reading these beautiful written patterns that so many people have. So that's my first one. I'm super, super excited to get started on that. My second item, going right to left top, is the 6-Day Kid Blanket by Betty McKnits. I really, really am dying to know if that's her real name, because that's awesome. That's just darn near perfect. The only thing that would be more perfect if it was Betty McCrochet. Anyway. I'm so cheesy. I have seen so many variations of the 6-Day Kid Blanket. I want to make some in ombres. I want to make them in different colors. And I've even seen an article that Betty wrote that was talking about how different the 6-Day Kid Blanket can be just based on what you do with color and where you stop your rows. Like there's a snowflake effect, there's defined ripples, there's all these different things just based on where you change color or how many rows of each color you do. And I'm really, really excited and looking forward to that. My next, number 3 on my Make 9 is the Felicity hat and scarf set. And this is a gorgeous pattern that I've seen on Pinterest several times, and I actually had a really, really hard time finding the pattern through a link that I found. And I finally found out who made it and was able to search them instead of through this other article, because, you know, sometimes you get down the Pinterest rabbit hole and it ends up being like 50, you know, you think you're clicking on this particular scarf. Turns out you're clicking on top 50 scarves and you have to go through and find it, and some of the links are broken. That's what happened. I ended up finding it. It's by Oombawka Designs Crochet, and I believe her name is Rhonda. At least that's what it looks like in the comments underneath the pattern on her blog. And it's this beautiful hat and scarf set. Originally it was just the scarf I wanted to make, and now I've seen that she's designed a hat to go with it. And it's made in the Colorscapes yarn, and I've actually never gotten my hands on that, but I might have to look into it or something similar, because it blows me away every time I look at this hat and scarf. It's so pretty. The color change and the combination of stitches, which look really unique to me, and I'm looking to branch out to do a little bit different stitches or a variation of stitch, not something that's like, okay, I'm making the alpine stitch beanie today and it's just alpine stitch, or the granny stitch such and such, or the waffle stitch such and such. I want to, again, make my projects a little bit more dynamic. So there is that. Let's see. My fourth project is the Cozy Stripe Blanket by Attic 24 Crochet. I'm really excited. I've seen so many variations of the Cozy Stripe blanket out there. If you just search it on Instagram or Pinterest or look on some of the Facebook groups, in fact, I think the Attic 24 lady, which her name escapes me right now, I'm so sorry, but I believe she even has her own Facebook group that I'm a part of, and there are so many possibilities for this one, again, based on color choices, based on the number of stripes or number of rows you do per stripe of color, things like that. Really looking forward to doing that. Number 5 is the Glorious Granny by Fiber Spider here on YouTube. I've seen people either make one just ginormous, huge Glorious Granny square. I've seen people make itty bitty ones and put them together. I've seen people do bigger ones that they put together. And I'm really, really excited. I think I want to do it with some color changing or ombre yarn. And I'm really, really excited for that one. And by the way, I will be linking all these patterns and such below. So if you're curious about anything that I'm talking about today, please go ahead and check the description box. I'm definitely making sure that I'm doing the work so that you guys don't have to. So please check that out if you're interested. Let's see. Number 6 is the Feather and Fans blanket by Persia. I believe she's also here on YouTube and that it's a tutorial. I know she's got at least little snippets within her blog that have videos. I think she's definitely on YouTube. So I'll link that down below. It's just so gorgeous. I love the rippling effect, and it's got just lacy enough to give it a lot of interest. It's been probably one of the first pins I had on Pinterest when I started learning to crochet. I thought it was way outside my realm of capabilities, and I just through the years then got, oh, I'll start this, and I really squirreled it, and I know I can make it, and I'm super excited to make it, but it just keeps getting pushed off for whatever reason. So this year it's gonna happen. The next one is I really want to make an African flower something. I think I would like to make an African flower blanket, but I've seen different various things, whether it be bags or scarves or sweaters or several amigurumi things, in fact, too, that I've seen that are just awesome. But I think something has to be made with the African flower stitch this year because I think it's so beautiful, and depending on what colors you do, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm sure countless times, but crochet is so marvelous because you change the yarn, you change the color, you change the color combination, you change the weight, and it looks like a completely different project. And I love the endless possibilities that come with color and design, and it's so neat to me that I can make the same pattern as someone else and it's completely different, and it's so unique, and I love that. Okay, the penultimate square here on my Make 9 would be the Moonlight Stroll Infinity Scarf, and this is by the Stitching Mommy, or Amy Ramnarine. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. I really, really, really apologize. This has been on my Pinterest board as well for forever and a day. Again, one of the first things that I ever pinned. I think it's using Shawl in a Ball or Shawl in a Cake. I bought the yarn. It took me a really long time to find the yarn. That's one of the reasons I didn't make it immediately when I started making scarves, but I couldn't find the yarn. I've since found the yarn, but I was in the middle of a whole bunch of different projects by the time I found that yarn, and it just never got made. I'm so ready now. It's sparkly, it's beautiful, and right up my alley. Something I haven't made, different stitch combination, really excited. And my very last make on my Make 9 board is the Sea Star Sunrise Beanie. This is a pattern, a paid for pattern. I believe everything else on my Make 9 is a free pattern that you can find on Pinterest, Ravelry, YouTube, things like that. The last one that I'm going to talk about, the Sea Star Sunrise Beanie, is a paid for pattern by Sea Star Crochet. She's on Etsy, and you can find it through Pinterest as well. I believe I found it actually off of her Instagram originally. Somebody was maybe testing a pattern that I followed, and they linked it to hers, and I bought the hat and cowl set. They come in a matching, you can buy them individually or together. I bought the matching set, and I think it was like $6, $6.50 or something like that. I think the hat alone is $5.50 or somewhere in there. So it's not super expensive, also not the cheapest pattern I've ever seen, but it's really, really pretty. I've never done the star stitch before. I'm very tongue-tied. I'm really excited for that. I bought the pattern, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago, and I have not had a chance to work on it. So it's not been on my radar for very long, but I have been so busy with all of the Christmas presents since I found it that I just haven't gotten a chance to sit down and work with it. So that is my very last Make 9. I cannot wait. I really hope that I hold myself to these goals. If you see a couple of months of videos fly by and you haven't seen anything from my Make 9 card, maybe leave a comment and go, hey, what's going on with your Make 9, Tris? Get on it. Not that it's your responsibility, but a little peer pressure never hurt anybody as far as crochet goes, right? So anyway, those are my crafty goals for 2021. Please tell me down below what your goals are. What are you working on right now? What are your big goals? Are you on a yarn ban buying? Are you on a yarn ban? Are you looking to start a new craft? Another thing that I really want to do is I want to learn to quilt a little bit this year, and I would really love to make the quilting squares that you do that people are crocheting together. Have you guys seen these before? They're beautiful. And again, there are so many different fabrics, so many different yarns, so many different join techniques. The possibilities are endless. I love it. So anyway, there's just a little extra thrown in there, I guess, as far as another goal that I'd like to do. So let me know, what are your goals? I'm losing my voice here, I apologize. Let me know what's going on with you guys as far as crafty goals this year. I would love to know, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day, evening, week, weekend, whenever you're watching this. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's make this a great year of 2021. Let's ring it in with positivity, grace, and fun. All right, take care, you guys. Bye now.